Good morning, ma'am. Would you please state your name and spell it?
I'm sorry. Shaundelle Brooks, Shaundelle, Brooks, Brooks.
Miss Brooks, do you have a son by the name of Akilah Dasilva?
I do.
When was he born?
November 17th, 1994.
And how many children do you have?
4.
Where did he fit in the age of your children?
He was the second child.
Ms. Brooks, I understand that you wrote something in order to assist you with your testimony today. I just received it. Yeah. Ms. Brooks, I'm going to show you a picture. If you recognize this person?
I do.
And who was that?
My son.
How old was Akilah about the time that he took this picture?
He was 17.
Is this a prom picture?
It is.
I was mentioning, Ms. Brooks, that you said that you wrote something that might assist you with your testimony here today.
Yeah.
Okay, and I've discussed this, Your Honor, with defense counsel. So, with the court's permission, I'd ask Ms. Brooks to read it, and there is going to be a portion where I ask you to stop, but just read until I tell you to stop.
I'm sorry. Every morning, I wake up with the same thought. My baby is gone. Every morning, before I even get out of my bed, I relive that night in my head. Every morning, I feel that unbearable sense of loss and sorrow. I miss him. The pain is so great that some days I'm not sure I can even open my eyes. I didn't lose my son, Akilah. He was taken from me, taken from my family, ripped from us. This left our family incomplete, forever broken. My son left our home on April 22nd, 2018. He left a video game paused in his room. He left a music project up on his computer. He left a safe and left our lives forever. That night, our nightmare began. I woke up around 3:40 a.m. I noticed my sons were still out. I texted them like I normally do to check in and make sure they were okay. Minutes later, my oldest son, Abedi, called me and said they were at the Waffle House and someone was shooting. I immediately asked where is Akilah, because I knew I was talking to Abedi and he was okay. When he responded that he didn't know, my heart dropped. I then drove to Waffle House, where the scene was so chaotic. It was it was almost blinded by the sirens and flashing lights. My heart was just pounding in my chest. My thoughts raced through my head. I remember thinking, what's happening? Where are my sons? Where is Akilah? I stopped, I got out the car, and I'm thinking, the police stopped me at the entrance, and he said, ma'am, you couldn't go back there. I said, but my sons are back there. And the ambulance drove up beside me, and the doors just opened. It just opened, and then someone was laying in there. And I recognized the shoes, that it was Akilah's. And I said, oh God. I said, Akilah, I called his name 3 times and he didn't answer. I knew something was wrong. Oh my God. I saw Akilah shoes through the door of the ambulance and cried out to him. I was just begging God that he would respond. I prayed that someone would tell me that my baby was okay. But they said he didn't make it. Looking at my baby's cold, motionless body in a box was devastating, crushing. The pain I felt at that moment was indescribable. It is something I thought I would never experience in my life. It's something a mother, a parent, a family should never have to experience. It's so surreal. It's the stuff you see in a nightmare. No parent should ever have to bury their child. But I did. And now I live that nightmare every day. My son was gifted. He was a gifted artist, a brilliant student. He wrote and produced songs, recorded and edited videos. He built his own computer from scratch to work on his music. He was a genius to me. My little genius. He was a computer and audio engineer. He had great purpose. He had big goals and dreams. was a beacon of hope. Akilah stood out in everything he did. He weighed 10 pounds, almost 10 pounds when he was born. He did everything quickly. He walked quickly. He had a mission. He had a mission and a vision. We realized early that Akilah's brain worked 10 times faster than ours. He mastered every electronic device that he owned before he was even 2 years old. And it didn't stop there as he got older. He was a perfectionist and followed through on every task he set out to complete. Telling him no, or that he couldn't do something, only made him more determined to work harder, to learn and to master it. He was quiet, but in his mind, he was always working. Akilah was loved by people whose lives he touched. He was not perfect, but he came very close. I always told him that he was so special, that he was a prophet, that he made a song of it. He was one of a kind. I knew he would have done great things. He was already doing that. He always told me, "Mom, I will take care of you. We're not worried about finances." When I was worried and stressed, he would comfort me. Because even as a child, actually, he was always thinking about others. He was always kind, and I was always spreading love. My son's music was always positive and encouraging. Like many young people in America, he was upset by gun violence in our country and used his music to urge people to turn away from it. One of the lines from his song, Prophet, it went like this: "Forget about making a hashtag. Just throw all the guns in a trash bag." Akilah was part of the lockdown generation in this country, conditioned by lockdown drills, never-ending news stories of gun violence and mass shootings. It impacted him. He spoke about gun violence and preventing gun violence in his music.
Ms. Brooks, would you skip this next sentence and go to the one after it, which says, "My son Akilah"?
Before that?
Just skip the next sentence and please start it. "My son Akilah was a beautiful soul."
My son Akilah was a beautiful soul who perfected how to be a son. He was a great brother to his siblings. He loved his family. But most of all, Akilah wanted to live. He wanted to create positive change in this world. He showed compassion, not anger. He spread love, not hate. He was just an old soul. He was just a good person who deserved to live. We didn't lose him. He was taken from us. My sweet baby, my angel, my son was robbed of his life. And from those that were privileged to have known him, privileged to have loved him, were robbed of his life, of his light, of the promise of what he would have become, and all the good he would have done. We have been robbed of Christmas mornings, birthdays, celebrations. I miss talking to him. I miss our 2-hour phone calls. We live with that loss every day. We live with that pain every day. Since my son's murder, I have learned a lot about gun violence in our country, in our state. I have dedicated my life to preventing gun violence. I want to do whatever I can to prevent another mother from having to bury her children, from having to wake up every day with a broken heart. To know that she will grow old without her beloved child. It is impossible to know the pain of your child being murdered unless you experienced it yourself. That pain extends beyond just the loss of life. It impacts everyone it attached to. My son Abedi suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder after what he saw and experienced. Abedi watches Akilah bled, held him as he screamed in pain, and ultimately watched him die. The last words Abedi heard from Akilah is, "I can't breathe." Abedi consistently played those words back in his head over and over again. He will carry that trauma with him for the rest of his life. Senseless gun violence took my son, my sweet Akilah, away from me, from his siblings, his family, his friends. Our lives will never be the same. I have become a survivor with no choice of my own. My family has joined this informal and sadly growing club of gun violence survivors. Family members whose loved ones were taken by bullets. The members of this club are the only ones who truly understand the never-ending pain, the unbearable loss, the trauma that we relive over and over. It is a club with far too many members. While I am grateful for it, it is still a club no family wants to join. Akilah was robbed of his dreams, his goals, his opportunity to have children and a family. We were robbed of Akilah. My sweet, innocent baby was gunned down. The pain is sometimes so intense. The pain is intense today as it was the night of April 22nd. That fear, that trauma, and horror I feel is all consuming. But instead of concentrating on that, I choose to fight. No mother should ever have to bury her child. No family should ever have to should never have to live like this.
Thank you, Ms. Brooks.
Thank you.